Good day! So, ang topic for today ay about sa imperfections of solids. Any deviation from completely ordered arrangement of constituent particles in a crystal is called imperfection or a defect. Nagiging imperfect ang solid kapag nagkakaroon ng irregularity sa pattern ng crystal arrangement sa solid lattice. Ang lattice ay ang ordered array of points na nagde-describe sa arrangement ng particles at nakaka-form ito ng crystal. Crystalline solid state is characterized by three-dimensional periodic arrangement of atoms, ions, molecules, and space. Ideally, there should be a perfect order in this arrangement. However, crystals in nature are not perfect. They do not possess perfectly ordered arrangement. This is due to the presence of few impurities and due to dislocations of few constituent particles from their normal positions. Imposible na makakuha o makakita tayo ng kahit anong substance o crystal man yan na nasa 100% pure form. Laging may imperfection o defects at impurity atoms ang makikita roon. Lahat ng crystals ay distorted to an extent dahil nagko-contain sila ng mixture ng dislocations at point defects. Definition of terms. Crystalline defects is an imperfection in the regular geometrical arrangement of the atoms in a crystalline solid. Ang crystalline defects ay ang irregularity or imperfection sa arrangement ng atoms sa crystalline solid na makikita sa dimension nito. Kaya ang nangyayari, nagde-deform ang solid. Sa point defects naman, the defects which arise due to the irregularities from ideal arrangement of atoms around an atom in a crystalline. So ang point defects ay nangyayari kapag mayroong atom na nawawala o kaya naman ay irregularly arrange ang atoms sa crystal lattice. Linear defects, the defects which arise due to the irregularities from ideal arrangement in entire row of a lattice point. Ang linear defects naman ay tungkol sa dislocation. Ito ay one-dimensional effect na dahilan ng misalignment ng atoms. Interfacial defects, the defects which exist at an angle between any two faces of a crystal or crystal form. Yung interfacial defects ay pwede nating ma-define na boundaries ng two-dimensional imperfections sa crystalline solid. Dahil siya ang boundary ay sineseparate niya ang regions ng materials. Dumako naman tayo sa types of imperfections. Crystalline defects are grouped into three. Ito yung point defect, linear defect, at interfacial defect. Meron tayong 4 types ng point defects. Ito yung substitutional point defect, interstitial point defect, Schottky's defect, at Frenkel defect. Substitutional point defect. Due to fundamental limitations of material purification methods, materials are never 100% pure, which by definition induces defects in crystal structure. Substitutional defects result from an impurity present at the lattice position. For the substitutional type, solute or impurity atoms replace or substitute for the host atoms. Ang substitutional point defect ay pagre-replace ng impurity atoms for the host atoms. So, dito sa illustration na to, isipin natin na ito ay particles ng brass. Ang brass ay combination ng zinc at copper. Mas malaki ang radius ng zinc compare sa copper. So, para mag-increase yung strength ng metal na iyon, ay isa-substitute o i-replace natin yung zinc as a copper. So, yung light blue na atom ay yun yung ni-replace natin para mag-increase yung strength ng isang substance. Interstitial point defect. Interstitial defects are a variety of crystallographic defects where atoms assume a normally unoccupied site in the crystal structure. In interstitial defects, three or more atoms may share one lattice site, thereby increasing its total energy. Kung titignan natin sa illustration dito, ang interstitial defect ay impurity atoms na nagfi-fill ng gaps dun sa mga host atoms. So, eto siya. Yun yung nakasquish sa pagitan ng mga host atom. Ino-occupy niya yung site na hindi usually ino-occupied na site, pero yung atoms na nakapaligid sa kanya ay hindi na-disturb. Itong defect na ito ay responsible sa pag-increase ng density ng substance o solid.
Schottky's defect. This type of defect is created when equal number of positive ions and negative ions are missing from the lattice sites, so that electrical neutrality is maintained. Sa Schottky defects, nababawasan yung mass pero yung volume ganun pa din. Nagkakaroon ng vacant kasi naaalis yung atoms or ions sa loob papunta sa labas. Madalas ito lumabas sa mga highly ionic compound, example ay sodium chloride, potassium chloride, at potassium bromide. Frenkel defect. Sa Frenkel defect naman, ito yung defect na yung atom or ion ino-occupy yung ibang vacant kesa sa sarili nito. Kung sa Schottky defect is nawawala yung equal number of positive ions and negative ions para magawa ng balance or neutrality. Ito namang Frenkel is ino-occupy yung vacant kesa sa sarili nito. Yung example naman nito ay zinc sulfide, silver chloride, at silver bromide. Mapunta naman tayo sa linear defects. Merong dalawang uri ng linear defects, edge dislocation at screw dislocation. Meron ding misdislocation which is common na pinagsamang edge and screw dislocation. Dislocation. It is characterized by a Burgers vector that is perpendicular to the dislocation line. It may describe as an edge of an extra plane of atoms within a crystal structure. Thus, region of compression and tension are associated with an edge dislocation. Edge dislocation ay nag-a-occur kapag may nai-introduce or may nai-eliminate na extra row ng atoms. Shear, tensile, and compressive stress fields may be present in the edge dislocation kumpara sa screw na hindi present yung tatlong nabanggit. Edge dislocation, maaari itong maging positive or negative. Screw dislocation. A screw dislocation is like a spiral ramp with an imperfection line down its axis. Screw dislocation result when displacing plane relative to each other through shear. Sa screw dislocation, palaging parallel and ang dislocation line di gaya sa edge dislocation na perpendicular. Also, screw dislocation provides easy crystal growth because of additional unit cells and atoms that can be added to the screw.
So, let us now go to interfacial defects. Interfacial defects are boundaries that have two dimensions and normally separate regions of the materials that have different crystal structures or crystallographic orientations. These imperfections include inter- external surface, grain boundaries, phase boundaries, and twin boundaries. So let us define what is external surface. External surface, the environment of an atom at the surface differs from that of an atom in a bond, especially the number of neighbors at surface is less. Thus, the unsaturated bonds of surface atom gives rise to a surface energy. This results in relaxation or reconstruction. To reduce the energy, materials tend to minimize the possible total surface area. External surface defects is one of the most obvious boundaries along which the crystal structure terminates. For example, liquids assume a shape having a minimum area, the droplets become spherical. Of course, this is not possible with solids, which are mechanically rigid. Next, grain boundaries. Crystalline solids are usually made of number of grains separated by grain boundaries. Grain boundaries are several atoms distances wide, and there is mismatch of orientation of grains on either side of the boundary. These boundaries can be described in terms of align dislocation points. As you can see in the picture, there are grain boundaries, and there is a mismatch of orientation of grain on the other side of the boundaries. High angle grain boundary where angle of misaligned is larger. Next, phase boundaries. Phase boundaries are the junction of two crystals which differ in lattice structure and composition. Additionally, phase boundary are boundaries that indicate the condition under which two phases of matter can coexist at equilibrium. Phase boundaries exist in multi-phase or mixed-phase materials, in which deeper phase exists on each side of the boundaries. Play phase boundaries play an important role in determining the mechanical characteristic of some multiple phase alloy. So as you can see in the picture, there are coherent phase boundary, partially coherent phase boundary, and incoherent phase boundary. So next, twin boundaries. This is a special type of grain boundaries or boundary across which there is a specific mirror lattice symmetrically. Twin boundaries occur in pairs such that the orientation change introduced by one boundary is restored by the other. The region between the pair of twin, twin bound or the region between the pair of boundaries is called the twin region. Twins which forms during the process of recrystallization are called annealing twins, whereas deformation twins form during plastic deformation. As you can see in the picture, hmm, the region of material between these boundaries is approximately termed a twin. Or twins result from atomic displacement that are produced from applied mechanical shear forces, mechanical twins, and also during annealing heat treatment following deformation. And that's the summary of our discussion or our lesson, and that's all. Thank you.